It's here! The long-awaited Season 2 of Euphoria is finally here. If you haven't seen the new season's episodes, turn away because we're about to view some spoilers. But also, we'll give you some insight into the first episodes. First up, we'll talk about Rue and Jules' relationship. Then we'll talk about the drama between Fez and Nate. After, we will get into what transpired between Nate and Cassie in the first episode of Season 2. Then to finish it off, we find out the backstory of Fez. To kick things off, we'll get into Rue and Jules' relationship. We left off at Season 1 with Rue and Jules splitting in the finale. Their relationship had its imperfections, but Rue seemed to stay away from drugs ever since she got with Jules. However, in the Season 2 premiere, Rue ended up at a house party, and Rue avoided Jules for as long as she could until Jules started to ask around for Rue. In the midst of Rue avoiding Jules, she found her way to the laundry room, where Dominic Fike ended up sniffing a line in the bathroom. Rue did a double take before she closed the door behind her. Rue had thought to have already taken hard drugs before taking more. Her heart rate was high, and she advised him to give her more drugs to level herself out. It was a scare, but it didn't seem to really scare Rue. This kind of reckless behavior makes us wonder if Rue will have a rude awakening soon. Will she end up taking too much one day? Jules ended up finding Rue, and when she did, she was high on drugs. Jules sat next to Rue and asked her how long it had been since she relapsed. Rue replied ever since the two broke up. The two had talked things out a little until Jules was turning to go, and Rue was about to leave with Ashtray and Fez. Rue stopped herself and went back to Jules and apologized for not opening up about her feelings, and the two shared a New Year's Eve kiss. It was nice that Rue opened up to Jules about her true feelings. It's still apparent the two care deeply for each other, so that raises the question, do they end up getting back together, or was it just a moment they shared? Zendaya hinted that even though they shared a moment together, the fans shouldn't get too excited over their reunion. We'll have to wait for the following episodes in order to find out what happens. What do you hope happens? Will the two reunite, or will they remain friends at the least? We can't help but hope they get back together, and if they do, does that mean Rue will get off the drugs? Things get heated with our next segments, and we get into the drama between Fez and Nate. At the New Year's Eve party in the first episode of the new season, Fez and Nate eye each other all night, and that could hint at what transpires in the future. But before we get into that, let's reverse back to Season 1, where this drama all started. Now, in the first season, Nate had catfished Jules when he found a tape of her and his dad. Nate had told Jules if she ever spoke of it, he would reveal the tape. When Rue found out what Nate did, she asked Fez if he would intimidate him. Fez agreed, but if he knew what would follow, he probably wouldn't have gone through with it. In retaliation, Nate called the cops, and they raided Fez and Ashtray's home. This forced them to toss their drugs. This caused them to be in debt with their suppliers, and that led to a crazy turn of events. In the heat of things, Ashtray made the decision to kill their dealer, and maybe it was the right decision, because if he hadn't, things could have been bad for them. So now fast forward to the New Year's Eve party. Fez went to grab a drink, and Nate was standing there, so he conversed with him a bit. Nate had made a comment. "The last time I saw you, didn't you say you wanted to kill me?" Fez laughed it off and told him it was a new year, so things were different. Nate seemed to believe him and put his guard down. Just as the two clinked their cups together, Fez smashed a liquor bottle on Nate's head and proceeded to beat him up. People tried to pull him off, but Fez unleashed his rage on him. Imagine everything that was going through his head while he was waiting on Nate. Nate really messed with Fez's livelihood and money. Things could have gone way worse than they did if it wasn't for other factors. The scene ended when Fez eventually stopped hitting defenseless Nate and walked away. He was beating on Nate for a bit, so we wonder how bad he was hurt, and we wonder what will happen next. Will Nate try to extract revenge in some way? We'll have to wait for the next episode. Next up, let's discuss what happened with Nate and Cassie. Now, in Season 1, Maddie dated Nate, and the two really loved each other. Maddie had played into Nate's fantasy role plays and acted like a virgin or like she was a sex worker. In return, he would buy her fur coats, and she would reciprocate that love for him. The two ended up splitting after Maddie started to see how toxic they were to each other. Nate had agreed, and that's where the two left off in season 1. The first episode of the second season opened up to people asking around the party where Cassie was. She took it upon herself to go to the corner store for a snack. Lo and behold, Nate was there, and he offered her a ride to the party. The two exchanged drinks as well as looks in Nate's Jeep on the way there. The sexual tension on that ride was something else. Once the two got to the party, they went straight to the bathroom, where their rendezvous played out. A knock on the bathroom door made the two stop, and Cassie froze when she heard Maddie's voice. She immediately regretted what she did, and the two were looking for a way out of the bathroom or what they could do. Cassie decided to hide out in the shower while Maddie came in to use the restroom. She began plotting her escape when a guy came into the bathroom with Maddie to smoke. Fans were on the edge of their seats when Cassie's phone started buzzing in the tub, and the guy pulled back the curtain and told Maddie there's a drunk girl in the tub. Maddie shrugs, not even looking to see who it is, and walks out the bathroom. Cassie's heart skips a beat, knowing she barely escaped that one. What will Cassie do? She's one of Maddie's closest friends. Will she tell her, or will she keep it a secret? Let's talk on how we came to learn more backstory on Fez in the season 2 premiere. The season premiere opened up with Fez's grandmother confronting Fez's dad at a strip club. She pulled the trigger and put 2 bullets in him before telling him Fez would now live with her. Fez was around 10 years old when this transpired, but from then on, his grandma taught him the ins and outs of the drug world. She taught him the business, and he watched how she moved and went about doing things. He soon followed in her footsteps as her partner. One day, the grandma brought a young boy home, and from then on, he was like Fez's little brother. The young boy was caught eating one of Grandma's cigarette butts, and that earned him the nickname Ashtray. One day, the grandma fell ill, and Fez evaluated the situation and decided to drive her to the hospital. She ended up passing away, and Fez took over the drug business with Ashtray. In the last season, Fez's dealers had shown up at his home and were threatening him with Ashtray. Ashtray had taken it upon himself to kill him and his sideman. For this reason, Rue, Fez, and Ash all had to take a trip to their higher-up boss and made a deal with them instead. Things got tense when they wanted to ensure there were no wires on Fez and his crew. A mutual agreement was reached, and they were on their way. So now we know why Fez is the way he is, and where and who he learned everything about drugs from. Will we come to find out more on Ashtray, like where he came from and who his actual family is? Either way, it was good to find out as much as we did about Fez. There you have it, Euphoria fans. I know this season was long awaited, but we're glad season 2 is back and that we're getting our weekly episodes. Let us know what you think of the first episode and what you think we will come to learn in the new season. What do you think will happen with Fez and Nate? And will Maddie find out that Cassie and Nate have sex? We'll have to stay tuned for what happens next.